Today is the day that this car is going to be 100% complete, ready to run. Is it going to run or not? I sure freaking hope so. There may be a few little things, little hiccups along the way that we're going to encounter and have to come over, but for sure this thing is going to be ready to run. As of right now, all we have left to do to start this thing up is the intercooler piping. So from here to the turbo, we have the intake, the lower intercooler pipe, engine oil, transmission oil, put the ECU back in, put the E-Tax back in on the interior, and we should be ready to start this thing up. Can't really drive it right now because we don't have wheels on it. I do have wheels here we could throw on, Bobby's wheels, but yeah, we'll figure that out later. For now, let's just throw some stuff together. All right, the engine bay is pretty much wrapped up. The last thing I want to check is to make sure the transfer case is topped off. So the transfer case on this car is just this SAE 90 LSD gear oil. I'm gonna go ahead and fill the transfer, make sure it's good to go. Other than that, we need to throw in the E-Tax into the interior. I think that should be it. E-Tax, yeah, it's still out. So E-Tax and battery, and we should be ready to go. All right guys, this thing should be ready to go. I do have the crank sensor unplugged just so we can crank the motor over, get some oil flowing before we actually go ahead and start it for the first time. Damn, this has been a long time coming, guys. I'm so freaking excited right now. Let's hope everything goes as planned. So far today, everything's gone super smooth. This thing's ready to go. Without further ado, let's jump in the car and see if it'll turn over. Alright, that's what I figured. This battery's been sitting for like 8 months or something. So I'm gonna jump start it with this little jump pack right here. So the car is not turning over, and on the dash it shows keyless operation system required. And I remember that Bobby took the key out of this, or the battery out of this key fob to throw in her Evo. So this fob does not have a battery in it. I need to run in, buy a new battery, because Bobby, if you're watching this, you never bought me a new one. So I gotta go pick up a battery and then we should be good to go. Oh, sick. All right, guys, so battery's hooked up, we are good to go. Let's go ahead, crank this thing over for a while, and I'm just gonna jump right to trying to get this thing started. See if we can get it going today. That is obviously the end goal today, is to get this thing to run and do a little bit of break-in stuff. If I can get a set of wheels on here, we can also go for the very first drive. Before we go ahead and try to fire up this car for the first time, I want to let you guys know these new sweaters are now available on the website. First link in the description box below. So these sweaters, everything else that is left over from the previous launch we had about a week ago, as well as a restock on the black stickers. These sold out, and then I got some white ones made as well. First link down below, boston.com. Go grab yourself some new merch. All right, here goes nothing. Well, we have a gas leak under the car, so I'm gonna pull the rear seat. That's exactly where the fuel pump is. I'm gonna pull out the rear seat, see what is going on. Well, this line right here popped off, and it looks like this guy coming out of the fuel pump is plugged. So I don't know if there was just a bunch of pressure and it caused this line to rip off or pop off, because obviously that's not supposed to just pop off of there. So I'm gonna try to get all that shit out of this thing right there. You can kind of see it right there. I have no clue what caused that. All right, so right now we have the fuel pump out. I blew out, I believe it is the fuel return line, this guy right here, and it shot out all this crap. So I think in like the 6 or 8 months this car sat, it clogged up some of the fuel lines. Let's hope that that's the only fuel line that's clogged. I don't really feel like going through the whole car. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it back together. This thing is clear now, I can blow through it. So I'm gonna throw it back together, and hopefully we don't keep blowing that fuel line off. I ended up pulling it apart all the way, guys. Yeah, we definitely have a case of bad fuel. Look at all that shit down in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and rip this thing completely apart, make sure it's 100% clean, and then we can throw it back together. All right, guys, we got the fuel pump back in. If we can turn the car over without blowing that fuel line off right there, we should be good to go to start this thing up, I hope. As long as we don't have any other clogged lines. I can't believe it clogged that fast. It was like, what was it, 7 months maybe? I don't know, I'd have to go back and look. It was a while. So I cranked it over for a second, and now it is spraying fuel out the front, and it looks like it's coming from this end of the fuel rail. And now that I saw it coming from the fuel rail, I think I know what's going on. This fuel rail is off of the abandoned Evo. It came with that car. This fuel rail sat for like 3 to 4 years, and I'm guessing there was a bit of fuel in there, and it's kind of like throughout my whole fuel system now. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and pull this fuel rail off, make sure it's all cleaned out. But yeah, it looks like it's spraying out of this hose right here, which kind of sucks. All right, so we got the fuel rail back on. I blew everything out. I blew the fuel rail out. I made sure the pressure regulator was fine. I blew out all the lines from the engine bay all the way back to the fuel pump. I pulled the fuel pump back out and re-cleaned that. So we should be 100% good to go. Let's give her hell, boys. Oh boy. Well guys, there is the very first startup of the Evo 10. It is running really rough. It seems like it's running super rich. The only things we really changed this time around is a few things in the motor, mainly the cams inside the motor, and then we changed the fuel rail as well. So I don't know if going to the AMS fuel rail, if that would make it run extremely rich, because it seems like it's just pegged at 10.0s, 10.0 AFRs. But it seems to run fine, no weird noises or anything. I wish I could get it to stay running, but it honestly won't even idle by itself right now. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I guess I'm gonna try to fire it up again, maybe keep giving it gas, and I don't know if it's just flooded right now from when we were having that fueling issue with the fuel lines blowing off. But it seems like we fixed that problem. We just gotta figure out why it's not running like it should. I don't think you would need a retune just for a fuel rail. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think you really would. Yeah, I don't think I want to risk it. As you guys just heard, it still runs really rough. I don't think it's obviously nothing like internal motor wise. It's not making any weird noises or anything. It's just running really rough, like it needs a tune super bad. Leave a comment down below. I'm gonna go online and do some research, but if you guys have any knowledge of like swapping fuel rails around, they're the same injectors, just I went from an OEM fuel rail to an AMS. That's the only thing I can think of that would change it. I know just going from stock cams to the GSC S2s, I wouldn't have to you'd have to retune to get more power, but it wouldn't make it run this bad. Another thing I've noticed is the starter is all messed up. The starter from this car went to the abandoned Evo, and so I had to buy a replacement used one for this, and it makes a lot of weird noises, like when you're starting it. I don't know if it showed on the camera, but yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to grab a new starter for this thing. Well guys, there's honestly not much else we can do tonight until the tuner More Automotive gets back to me as to whether or not we need to retune ASAP to do any braking stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up the video right here. First startup is a success. The car runs. We did have a little hiccup with the old gas clogging that fuel line. It was just from the fuel rail though. The gas in the car itself was good. It's just the gas in the fuel rail was bad because it sat forever with that abandoned Evo. It's like 3 or 4 year old fuel, and it kind of just clogged the rest of the lines. So yeah, good first startup. Not running the best, not running like it should, but it's all good. We'll get it figured out hopefully tomorrow or maybe in an upcoming video. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out. I'll see you guys in the next video.